What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and as always, I come to you with my esteemed co-host, Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. What's up, Isaac? And this evening, we have some incredible guests fresh off the 2022 Arnold Strongman Classic, Holly McRae and Thomas Evans. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting. So, first and foremost, how does the Arnold invite process work? Like, how did you find out you were going? Holly, you can go first.
Here in Canada, you have to win at nationals, I think at least the time. And so I won nationals in 2020, but because the Arnold was canceled in 2021, my invite got rolled over to this year.
Sweet. And Tom, how about you?
Same thing in the U.S. Placed high in nationals, high enough actually in 2021. Did nationals both years. That was actually my first Arnold that I've been to. So I think in the U.S. it's a higher percentage because there's, I know for heavyweight guys there are like 80 of us, just at the national level. So I think there's like 250 competitors in total. So I think they do a percentage based rather than just a top spot, I believe.
Cool. And then just kind of both of your history coming up in strongman. Like Holly, I first found out about you at OSG, and Tom, I found out about you at ASM. So I'm sure you've had careers before that. So Holly, if you'd like to go first, kind of what was your path starting in strongman and then to now winning at the Arnolds?
I've actually been competing for 7 years. And it was just a small local show here. Canada wasn't very big with the women for quite a long time. There wasn't a lot of avenues, I guess, for us to kind of go, especially as a lightweight women. Our middleweight women would go as lightweights to the Arnold and things like that. And so I kind of just did a lot of local shows. I've won nationals twice. The first year there was no pro cards or anything like that for lightweights, so we couldn't really go anywhere. And then after that, I've hit a couple Canadian records and then OSG and the Arnold twice.
Talk about those records. You've piqued my interest. What are they in?
I've got the lightweight Circus dumbbell record, the lightweight log record, and the under 137 world 18-inch Axel deadlift.
Wow, incredible. So an overhead pressing monster. Tell me, we had this discussion with some other folks last week, but tell me all your best Circus dumbbell pressing tips.
My biggest tips is, I guess, jump under it, lats tight, look up. I mean, I train with Max, who is extremely good in overhead pressing, so I guess maybe some of that has rolled on to me.
And I'm guessing Sam rolls through there once in a while too, and her Circus dumbbell's incredible as well.
Yeah, her and I tend to quite like it. I think we have like 10 at our gym. Like we like Circus dumbbell a little bit.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, expecting Max and Sam, they had a last minute training thing come up, so they're coming on hopefully Monday night, right, Isaac?
Yeah, I cleared it up with JF as well, so we're gonna have JF, Max, and Sam on next Monday. So cool. That'll be on my channel for anyone watching.
Cool. Awesome. And so Tom, as I was saying, I found out about you, or became first very impressed with you at ASM, and there were 3 of you that were amateurs there, right? You, Josh, and who else?
Justin
Kielhofer, that's right.
Yeah, we all qualified through an online process, and I think I can speak for a lot of us where we were surprised that Josh was still an amateur at the time. And he ended up winning the whole thing. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. But that was a huge opportunity. That was my first pro show, and I guess actually my only pro show to this point. So that was an awesome experience to get in front of some bigger competition and kind of get my name out there a little bit, and then continue down. And then a couple of weeks, I think it was 2 weeks prior to nationals, ended up placing second in nationals, and then everything kind of came together at the Arnold, luckily.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, at ASM you did really well with the bag toss over bar. Am I remembering right?
Yes, I think a bunch of us got 65 and 2 guys got 70. I think my best event that day was the finger flip, which I had never done before to that point. but that was like the first event, so that felt pretty cool coming out with a strong start there. Had to lead for a second.
Especially given what I've heard about what the floor was like during the those fingers.
Yeah, it was a little slick. Luckily, though, in competing in amateur, I feel like you kind of get used to that.
Subpar circumstances.
Yeah, especially at nationals. It's always in the convention center, and that floor is always slick.
Yeah,
and we're always doing yoke for some reason, which I'm all for yoke. But if yoke on skates, I'm sure the Canadians, you guys are better used to walking on ice all the time.
We'll leave that crazy stuff to JT Sowers. How about that?
Sounds like playing me.
Holly, have you ever had to work on a surface that wasn't ideal at a particular show?
Yeah, actually, my first nationals that I did, we had tire flip. And it's not one of my best events. I'm only 5'1". I'm pretty little. Those tires are kind of big. And that floor, you couldn't get grip on at all. I'm pretty sure I smashed my face against the tire a few times.
Indoor or outdoor?
Indoor.
Okay.
Most of our local comps are all outdoor. So, I mean, I live in Canada. It's never good.
Cold?
Slightly.
I just remember, like, I've been to different places in Canada for work before, and I remember going to Winnipeg one time, and I live pretty close to New York City, so that's what I think of as a city. And I remember going for a walk in Winnipeg, and I'm like, where are all the people? Because the population's so much less dense than what I'm used to.
Winnipeg's even bigger than where I am.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I come to find out, Winnipeg has a lot of it is underground, so a lot of the people were there.
They were hiding from you.
I'm a nice guy. I don't know why, but what can you do? What's up, World's Strongest Blacksmith? We got our buddy Tyler in the comments. Tyler did a competition recently too. Did some pretty good stuff there. Congrats, Tyler. Yeah. So Tom, what other thoughts from ASM do you have before we move fully into the Arnolds?
I was my goal for that meet going into it was kind of prove I belong with the big guys. Like, as I'm sure many of us feel, it's like I just need my chance to get up there, need events to go my way, and kind of submitted the online qualifier. I'm not sure if I really had a chance to get into it. I kind of definitely focusing on national prep. So I was like, okay, I'll submit the online qualifier. Because one of the events to qualify was an 800 deadlift for reps. Deadlift not quite my forte yet. And I managed to get one within the time frame of submission. But I figured there was guys out there, smacking 800 for reps, and I guess my log was decent enough to get in, and ended up only being 3 of us. I was really hoping when we got there to walk away with my pro card that day, but it ended up working out a couple of weeks later. Like I said, Josh absolutely smoked it, more than deserved. Probably 2 pro cards that day. And one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet too. I've competed against him a couple of times, but I was very impressed that day with his ability to move at his size. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah, both he and Justin have been on the show before. Both really, really nice guys. Yeah, but it's funny you say like you want to show you belong with the big guys, so you show you belong with the biggest of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's very many competitors that are bigger than Josh out there. I think he holds that crown very solidly.
Absolutely.
What'd you think of the middleweight performances at ASM?
Oh, that was also incredible to watch. They were moving weights very, very comparable to the super heavyweights. I've met some of those guys before. A lot of them have been judges for my competitions. So I'm trying to think like Jeff and those guys. They were awesome getting to see them compete when I've seen them for so many years at nationals and at that level. So
yeah, speaking of deadlift, Frank Provenzano's a monster.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really cool. So, Holly, getting back to, you were talking about your height. Have you encountered events where your height is actually an advantage?
Deadlift. Not too many events. Really,
No, I'm not that tall either. I'm trying to
deadlift,
follow in your footsteps.
maybe squats. But for the most part, my height really doesn't help me on too many things. Luckily for me, though, most of the lightweights are all pretty little.
Okay, cool. Why don't we move into what the events were at the Arnold's? I'll share my screen. And we'll go through them one by one. All right. Can you see that?
Yep.
Awesome. So first and foremost, like I'm an idiot. If you can explain to me what's up with the decimal points in the points, I don't understand at all how this is scored.
They explained it to us like in the rules meeting, and I still can't figure it out.
I think I got an idea. I don't fully grasp it, but it wasn't any decimal places until finals, and then they divided the points by some number. I think it was like the total competitors or something, to basically, if somebody had a big lead going into the finals, they kind of trimmed the leads down and try to close the gap a little bit.
Okay. And then how did they decide who goes to finals? Because as you can see here, there's some competitors are eliminated, but on yours, Tom, there aren't any. So how do you judge which are finals and which aren't?
I think it was 4 for every weight class except the super heavyweight men, and then they said it'd be 10.
Got it. Cool. All right. So I mean, same events for both of you, right? So Holly, first off with the deadlift ladder, it looked like you were pretty close to the tops there. How did you feel going into that? Was any one of the 3 implements easier or more difficult for you? Kind of. What are your thoughts there?
They were all pretty, like the weights were pretty good. The height is at a really bad height to fully engage. I think it was like 12, 13 inches. So that can kind of be a pain in the butt. As I went out with another Canadian, Taylor Woods, who also podiumed. And I was like, so do we really want to do reps, or do we just want to pick a number? I was like, I don't really want to rep this out too long. But for the most part, it wasn't anything that was kind of out of the realm. I had a lot heavier weights in the deadlift ladder at OSG.
Cool. So Isaac, that's 2 times in 2 weeks that we've heard about deal making.
Yeah, and I think generally speaking, deal making doesn't really go well for anybody, but every now and then I think it can be advantageous.
We didn't actually make a deal. We just said, let's go for it in double digits.
Gotcha.
Which 9 is still very respectable. That's a pretty good number, especially when you're looking at the rest of the crowd, and some of them weren't anywhere near that.
I was pretty happy with it. It was more than what I got in training. So that's all you can really ask for, right?
And I mean, isn't it actually 11 because you've lifted the other 2 bars already?
I think they only counted how many reps, so at the last bar.
Okay. Right. But that's what I'm saying. If you did 9 reps on the last bar, you also did the other 2 bars. So you really did 11 total reps.
Well, that sounds exhausting.
Unless I'm wrong, I didn't see it, but that's what it seems like. If they're counting, it's the last bar for reps. That's what our buddy over at Strongman Archive says anyway, and he's always right. So it's gotta be 11. So, yeah.
Maybe
11 sounds better, anyways.
Yeah, it does.
I'll tell you, mine will give it away for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all the reps. I only got the last one once.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. For me, in this event, it was definitely damage control right off the bat, which I was thankful my worst event was first. And then I think I signed up first, so I had the chance to go in the last wave. And then once I saw that, they weren't repping out for 10, I'm like, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, or it's a lot worse than I thought it was going to be, but it's a lot worse for everybody else too.
For everybody, yeah.
Yeah, that last 800 pound at the 13-inch height, that was rough. I think across the board, it creates a tough sticking point, especially for those. Like for me, I can get a lot of weight off the ground, but I always get stuck right at the bottom of the knees. So I think anybody that has a sticking point, is like our worst nightmare. The Axel from the wagon wheel. But it's something that I'm encouraged to go out and get some help with now, and get some help with my deadlift training. So hopefully we'll be putting up some bigger numbers there soon.
Yeah, and how do you work through that sticking point? You just do that movement from that height over and over again?
Well, I'm going to find out in a few weeks if that helped out, because I'm going to go back to a deadlift bar on the ground after training with pretty much just an Axel. I used a lot of banded deadlifts, multiple heights from the ground. I tried some overcoming ISOs right at the sticking point. Actually damaged some the half spots on the rack doing that, so you got to be careful. Did a lot of paused RDL work, stuff like that. I think it helped. I actually never was able to hit it successfully in training. So I was super pumped when I got that one rep. We went for the second one. I was like, okay, we're going to save it for the wheelbarrow at this point. But as in my short career in strongman, I found that, sometimes it is worth just doing damage control and get out with as much energy as you can.
Well, and that difference in points between the 3 reps and 2 reps, like that third rep, kind of looks like it's what won the show for you as well, by being able to get that third rep.
Yeah, I think so. I do know it's incredibly close. Where Cop only got an extra rep on top of that, and I think the Silva too. He ended up getting 7, which is absolutely incredible. But I think there were a lot of people that got 3 reps. I think it was like a 20-way tie for 4th place or something like that.
Cool. So you mentioned the wheelbarrow medley. Let's talk about that a little bit. So that was carrying a sack, putting it on the wheelbarrow, and then wheeling it all back, right?
Yes.
What'd you think of that? How did it go?
I felt pretty good. I tied for 4th, or somehow got a tie on that one. I guess the clock was too close. And I felt that had a huge advantage going towards the end, because we watched the women competing in the lightweight men, and then the sandbag kept falling off for everybody. So I think towards the end, everybody, it may happen to you, Holly, or in your groups. I know everybody spent a little extra time making sure that sandbag wasn't going to fall off. I felt pretty good about the event. I was hoping to actually shoulder it, and then it just didn't roll up right, so I just started walking with it in the front rack position. But went kind of as expected for me there.
Yeah, maybe they need a little lip on the wheelbarrow so they don't fall off. Because Holly, in your group, didn't that happen to Carly? I think where it fell off.
It happened to quite a few of the girls, actually. Not me.
Good. Yeah, I think I saw it on her Instagram because I follow her, and she's super strong. So it was a little bummed to see that happen to her.
Yeah, there was a few of them where it just, and you're gassed by that time. There's only so many times you can pick that thing up and put it back on there. I think, I guess advantage of being short, that wheelbarrow wasn't tipped as high for me.
Yes.
So I don't think the sandbag was going to roll as much, but I smashed that against the bar as hard as I could to make sure that thing wasn't going anywhere.
You're speaking Isaac's language. He loves physics.
I had to do a physics series for my degree, and ever since John has harassed me about it, as a matter of fact, I hate physics, but I somehow got A's in all my classes, and I don't know how. So you had to take more steps, but you just didn't have to pick the wheelbarrow up as high.
Yeah, pretty much. I've never actually touched a wheelbarrow until that day. I had no idea what I was doing with that thing.
Well, it seemed to work out for you pretty well. I mean, you did fairly decently well looking at the rest of the field.
Not too bad. Near the end of it started going like this a bit. And my judge yelled at me, "It doesn't matter if it's straight, just get it past the line." And so I just kept going. I had a few, obviously I had Max there, so he was kind of helping me out with the wheelbarrows he's done. And I also talked for a couple weeks beforehand with Jerry Pritchett about it. And he kind of gave me his hints about how to do it and what he's encountered in competition. So thankfully, those two, I just kind of listened to their voices and went for it.
Awesome. Yeah, Jerry's been floating around a lot. He's been very helpful to a bunch of athletes.
He was there all weekend helping a lot of people.
Yeah, that's cool. Always great to see him. He's a legend for sure. So yeah, I mean, I've only ever used a wheelbarrow in the yard to cart around dirt and the tire went flat. So maybe I need a strongman wheelbarrow that can stand up to some weight.
361 kilogram wheelbarrow to lug dirt around in.
Just make sure you got a lip on it.
I did not have that much dirt. I'll tell you that right now. Cool. Then we go to bag over bar. So that was next. Holly, how'd that go for you? It looked like you had 3 bags in 13.85 seconds, it looks like. So how did it feel? Maybe maybe height playing a factor here?
No, sandbag toss actually is really a really good event for me. I was really, really mad about this actually because I got that 4th bag in like 20 seconds in training every single time. So watching back on the videos, my hand placing actually was completely different than I ever throw sandbag, and I think that's what did it. It wasn't enough to really put me too far down or anything, so it kept me still pretty high up in points, but definitely not something personally I was pleased with.
Okay. So basically the handles were positioned differently?
Yeah, normally I grab closer out, and I grabbed really close in for some strange reason when I was doing it. And so the sandbag, almost you could see it pull me under. I didn't control it, and that wasted my energy when I was triple extending to throw it up.
Got it. Okay. And you train that with Max as well? Because he's pretty good in tossing.
Max is amazing at tossing, but he tosses completely different.
Okay.
So he's always do as I say, not as I do. Because he does it very, very different.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, since we brought up Max and Sam as well, I'm just wondering, like, did you guys get a chance to watch the record breakers, and what did you think? Like, I'm thinking specifically of that the steel weight toss over bar that they both did.
I didn't watch a lot of it. Actually, I was back at my Airbnb kind of eating, refueling, paying more attention, honestly, to my competition.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of events that I didn't catch. I watched afterwards, but not while it was happening.
Okay. Tom, how about you? Did you catch any of the record breakers? Anything stand out?
I did. I got to saw Chloe. I pray I got her name right there. Lifted Denny Stones. I mean, and that hands down is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's an interesting story too. Like she wasn't invited. Like she had to ask to do it.
Yes, and I am glad whoever made that decision did, because that I went up and told her afterwards, like after she calmed down a little bit, I was like, that was really fucking. Oh, sorry, excuse me. So that was really cool. And you know, I've seen a lot of different things, and that's on the top of my list, hands down. Most inspiring things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, especially given that, and Holly, I'll let you give your thoughts on that as well, but especially given when you're going against someone like Donna Moore, who's lifted them before and struggled, it was even more amazing. But Holly, what did you think about that?
I'm actually really close with Chloe. And just I watched the video afterwards to see it all. I wish I was there for that. It was pretty crazy. And talking to her the next day behind backstage and stuff, it wasn't something that she was, I guess, kind of planning to do, and it came up, and she was definitely ready for it. You could tell she wanted that, and it was that's a feat of strength. That was incredible.
Absolutely. Did I understand her correctly that she's done the originals before?
I think she has tried them. I'm not sure if she's lifted them or not, but I am 100% sure that she has in fact done them.
Okay. Yeah, because when she said like I did them, I didn't know if that meant attempted or lifted, so I wasn't sure. But I think she used that in her pitch, so to speak, right? Like, I've done the originals. Can you let me do these too? And they said, sure.
It's a good thing they did.
Yeah. It was amazing. There were a lot of ones. That one and Andrea Thompson's home retire deadlift was another amazing one.
I just thought it was hilarious when she was walking up to the stones, and I was like, they're like past her knees when she's walking up to them. I was like, she's tiny next to these. And yeah, so that was pretty insane to be able to watch.
I think you could tell it in the crowd too. And then I think when she first budged them off the ground, just like ever so slightly, and then walked around and came back, and the whole place just like, I thought we were bringing the roof down. That was a really incredible moment. I can't speak to that enough.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe she wasn't aware there was time left, and somebody told her, like she was looking off to the side, and she's like went into like beast mode again. And I'm like, it's amazing how you athletes can sort of turn it on when you need to turn it on.
Her hand actually slipped, and if I'm not mistaken, her boyfriend is the one who coaches her on these. And he said, no, chalk up those hands and go for it again. I could be wrong, but I think and she was like, all right. And that was it. She was like, I'm getting this.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, what do you both think about record breakers happening so close to the full contest for folks that did both, like Max, for example, or Sam? Like, should they separate it by a week so you can attempt a record at full strength?
I think strongman is expect the unexpected. I think that's what makes it, really awesome, right? You either have it or you don't have it. And, sometimes not peaking for something like Chloe and her just going out and doing it. And then the next day taking second, winning her pro card is kind of more, I want to say badass, but I don't know if I can say that word.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I've learned to expect the unexpected in strongman. So you just train and kind of go for it.
Okay. Yeah, because like with that weight over bar toss, I was watching Max and I'm like, he looks stiff from that full competition he just did. And on his third throw, he looked like loose and warmed up, but it took him a couple throws.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of warm-up. I don't know if they allowed a lot of warm-up for the record breakers, but I don't think that the warm-ups, at least for us, we didn't get a huge amount of warm-ups. It kind of just was, let's go for it.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, so we're up to Axel press ladder now. Who would like to go first on your experiences there?
You can go.
Sure. I was really excited for this event. Axel clean and press, one of my favorite things. Really nervous about going on the big stage. I'm really nervous that I had to wait it felt like 4 hours. It may have been 3 hours because I went a second to last. And then they kept bringing it from 3 lanes to 2 lanes to 1 lane. So I think that was a test of ability to remain focused, like your warm-up routine, your eating routines. I sent my buddy who was with me, Dan Walker, to like, hey, you gotta go give me a sandwich. Like, we're gonna be here a while. I'm gonna need some fuel. So that was a good moment to overcome adversity for everybody, because that was a weight that not a lot of people were, not a lot of people were hitting a lot of reps. That's something I felt really good about, but yeah, and it was cool to get to do it on a big stage. I'm glad it was my best event up on the big stage. I got pretty lucky there.
I think the most exciting thing about that event is that you got a whole number of points, not decimals.
Yes. Yeah, no ties there.
I'm so stoked.
I'll take it.
Nice. By the way, Holly, you have some fans in the crowd. I should have popped these up on the screen. We got Daryl, Holly for the win. And your buddies with Andrew over at Kratos?
Yeah, actually, I'm part of his team.
Andrew's the best.
Oh, he's amazing. I met him at OSG. And he was, we were having fun and talking in the backstage after the comp. And yeah, luckily enough, he asked me to be part of his team.
Awesome. Yeah, he's the best. I did. I've talked about this on previous live streams. He sent me a shirt and I wore it. Like I like going on hikes and just finding stones to press. And so I was doing a stone over a makeshift bar I made, and I like tore up my forearms and everything, but the shirt was just fine. No damage.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out to Kratos. Andrew's awesome. Cool. So Holly, how did the Axel press ladder go for you?
I was actually really excited to find out that our first event wasn't an overhead because my nerves usually take over and I bomb overheads. I was pretty excited about the main stage, slightly scared about the lights, but they ended up not affecting me at all, which is really nice. I was pretty close to the first ones up, and I guess after us, like he said, they had decided to change the lanes because we were actually breaking the stage.
Ooh.
Is what was happening. And so yeah, we started at 3 lanes, and then by the heavyweight guys they were down to 1, and we were supposed to start at 5, and I didn't even go on, until I think like 5:30, 5:45. There were 6 heats of just the lightweight women. So it definitely turned into it started at 5, and I don't think they ended until like 8ish.
Wow.
It was a really long event, but really cool to be up there. I think I did okay. I suffer from a shoulder injury, and so even in my video, you can see it kind of doesn't press fully all the way out. But for 4 reps on the second day after competing for 2 days, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great.
I was in first going into that event, and that event I still did well enough to end day 2 in first. So I wasn't complaining by any means.
Awesome. I mean, being so successful in both Axel and log, kind of, how do you compare and contrast the two? Like, how did you train differently to get good at both things?
I actually think I'm bad at both of them.
Really? Okay.
I mean, my numbers aren't awful by any means, but they're, I guess, maybe not. I'm used to training next to Max and Sam, so I kind of compare my numbers to that when I shouldn't, I think. Max does a lot of accessory work for me. Because of my shoulder injury, we do a lot of stabilizing and things like that, and I guess it carries over pretty well. Log is based upon what size the log is. If it's a smaller log, I'm not so good. If it's a bigger log, I'm little, so my lockout's not as big.
Nice. I mean, to be fair, neither Max nor Sam are under 64 kilograms, are they?
No.
So there you go. You're doing just fine.
Pretty sure Max is at
It keeps me
double.
pushing.
Yep, got to compare apples to apples.
Yep.
It keeps me pushing, though. It's always keeps me on my toes.
Yep.
And can you remind me, was it a clean and press for each, or was it a press away?
Clean and press for all of them, and then the last one was pressing away. So the last one is the one that mattered for reps if you could get them all.
Gotcha.
There was a lot of medleys and a lot of cardio events.
How do you feel about that? Some sort of way?
No, I don't like it. Like after 4 or 5 reps, I'm done.
I can read it all over your face. Tom, how did you feel about that?
This is the only cardio I like is overhead. Other than that, I'm out on the cardio. But I think I prefer events where it's like it's a weight that like 4 reps going to win it. I think. But yeah, not big for like I see these like squat reps for 20 reps.
I was going to say holy
like,
rep fest.
Holy cow, that's way too much for me. I might as well go on a jog at that point.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever just sat there and been like, "Hey, I'm going to do 20 reps of squat today." Like, sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think anybody signs up for that.
So what do you think, Holly? Was it too light for you, the squat?
Well, I did 18 reps. And I wasn't planning to do that. And by the end of it, I think I just wanted to puke and die. I don't want that many reps ever again. I thought I did really well at 18 reps. I got off the floor and then they're like, "Oh, you got tied for 3rd." I went, "What?" How many more could you have possibly done?
That's crazy.
I was going to ask you if you had intentionally stopped at 18 or if that was just.
I blacked out. I blacked out at the top and I lost all feeling to my legs. Pritchett wrapped my knees. And I'm glad that he did, because I lasted so long. But by the end of it, there was no feeling in my legs at all. I couldn't walk. I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
With that number of reps, would you prefer to wear sleeves instead of wraps, or are you glad that you did the wraps?
I wore them both. I wasn't expecting to have to go that long. I did 11 in training. And so, I mean, I can't fully prep for something like that, because none of us do 18 reps in training. Like, how do you prep for that? So, I don't know if I would do anything different.
Yeah, I was gonna say with wraps, usually I start losing feeling in my legs after like 3 reps, you know? Like, so shooting for 18 when you're in wraps just sounds completely miserable. I don't know.
My butt hurt a lot afterwards. I'd like to not do that again.
For the powers that be that are listening, no more 18 reps.
No more, no more.
I think 8 was too much too. Just throwing that out there.
Is that what you got? Yeah.
Yeah, so did you do wraps as well, Tom? Or
Yes. Yeah, I did. I did wraps. I wrapped them myself, so it definitely not like professionally tight, which I was okay with. Yeah, because I feel like after a point, I just started good morning in them anyways. So I'm like, probably less knee bend is good right now. I really wish I had a rector shirt on or something like that at this point. Yeah, because I remember, and I saw on video, like the last 3 reps were not a squat. They were touch, knees locked out, and we're just going to use our back to get this up now.
It's funny you say that, because now I'm thinking back like to when I was a kid, when I first learned what a good morning is. I think it was in some book that Arnold wrote, coincidentally.
And it's just a bad squat sometimes.
Yeah.
so you just did extra deadlifts, basically.
Yes,
the bar was
yes.
on your
I didn't
shoulders.
get enough earlier, so I made sure I got some more.
There you go. Just really finish off that.
Yeah, I didn't want my hamstrings to feel good when I left, so we addressed it.
So tied for first, 9.5 points. That looks like the kind of points I would expect. Not weird decimals.
Yes, I think they stopped doing long division at this point.
Well, because after the Axel, they had narrowed the field to just 10 guys, right? Or
Right.
okay, so then the final 2 events, it was just 10 points that they were basing it off of.
Yes, I think so. But if you tied, you didn't get the full 10.
Right, because they do a half point down for each person who tied.
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
typical. That's typical.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, Ethan's in the comments. What's up, Ethan? Ethan's from Strongman, the discussion page on Facebook. If you guys aren't following that yet, you should. It's awesome. And by the way, while we're saying that, go ahead and like this stream if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to my channel. Watch all 447 videos I have from beginning to end. Like, just put it on loop. And then go over to Hunger Smash Fitness and do the same thing for Isaac. And when we wrap up here, we'll tell you where you can go follow our wonderful guests as well. Please support us all. We really do appreciate it.
And make sure you turn the notifications on. So when we have JF and Max and Sam on next week, you'll get the notification and you can come watch us talk with them as well.
Yeah. Or if we're Isaac and I are arguing with each other about Eddie versus Thor or something, you can hear that as well. We actually agree, I think.
I think we're fairly together on that one. But
yeah. You guys have any opinions you want to share on that, or should we skip it? Nope. All right, Stone Over Bar it is. Holly, how'd Stone Over Bar go for you?
Well, I was a little salty about being third in squats. So I knew I was, based upon that, if I didn't win stones, I wasn't taking the first that I wanted. So I had a job to do at that point in time, which is difficult. Me and Chloe had a conversation actually before we had went to the Arnold that we were like, that's it, first and second, let's battle these stones. So it was kind of neat that we did end up top 4 and that we could do it. But I mean, Chloe has about, I don't know, 5 inches on me. So I was like, here we go. But it turned out that that was my event win. And so I was the only one to load the 265, and that solidified the first for me.
And then how did it work? Were there multiple attempts, like you do lighter stones and work your way up, or you just pick your one max weight?
So it was last man standing. We started at the 175 stone, and all 4 of you have a chance to load it. You have 30 seconds to load that stone. And if not, then you're out. And then from there, we did a 205, 225, 245, and then 265 was the last stone.
Cool. The FSM 20 says you put up a monster stone.
I walked up to that stone and I had to stand really far apart, and I went, oh, that's a big mother.
In case you didn't know, you represent short people very well.
Oh, thanks.
Isaac, is FSM Josh Hillen by any chance? Because he would say something like that.
I think so. I think that's who it is. I think he changed his name. Yeah.
It was a big stone. After my first stone, Max yelled at me from the side to calm myself down. So to just take breaths, 30 seconds it's not a lot of time in between, with only 4 of us. And then the one girl was out, I think, at the 3rd stone, then the 4th stone, the next girl was out, and then it was just me and Chloe for the 265.
Awesome job there. That's a heavy stone.
It was very heavy.
And if you
I don't know how I managed to get it up so well. I wish that actually she'd gotten it up just so I could have tried the next one.
What was the height of the bar?
48 inches.
Okay, that's no joke.
Yeah, I'm 61 inches.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I was like, okay.
Almost another shoulder press event for you.
Almost.
You got Andrew giving you some more accolades.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. I think he posted my stone video too.
Oh yeah, I think I did see it. And yes, FSM is Josh Hillen. He's our 5'7" super heavyweight.
So what was the heaviest stone that they had picked for you guys? Like, was it just going to keep going until one of you quit, or did they have a set stone where it's like, okay, if both of you get this, you'll just go back and forth until one of you stops?
Yeah, pretty much. I think we had the same stones as kind of all of like the women and stuff. We just kind of kept going. I think actually Sam had told me, I'm not sure if this is correct, they didn't have one in between the 265 and the 300. And so that would have been the next one that I had tried, because I think that's what had happened to her, is that they did the 265 and they didn't have anything in between.
That would be a big jump too.
Yeah, a 300-pound stone would be something interesting.
Yeah, it was
the YouTube word we use.
What's that?
Mm-hmm.
I said interesting is the YouTube word that we use.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I had mentioned to Isaac about for the record breakers, they had a 400-pound stone, which I thought was too heavy. And Isaac keeps trying to convince me, well, it's a sphere. It's hard to make small increments off the, above the current record. And I get that, but 400 just seemed undoable, and nobody got it.
It's a big stone.
Yeah.
It's not always the weight either. It's at least for me, it's the diameter of that stone.
Yeah.
I'm not a very big person whatsoever. So the bigger that stone gets, the more it gets a little difficult to even kind of get it to my lap.
Yeah, it's like with the 400-pound record breaker, you had somebody with Becca Roberts' wingspan grabbing that stone, which is a different body structure, right? So
yeah.
Well, I mean, to an extent though, because I have a 7-foot wingspan, and still when the stones get bigger, it's different. It changes the angle at the elbow. It changes how well you're able to bear hug it. Like, it just changes how you're able to pick up the stone. But also at the same time, I can struggle with some of the very small diameter, really heavy stones because my arms are so long, I can't quite bear hug it properly. So it can go either way, I think.
Just pinch it.
As Max always tells me, just get stronger.
Max is just has a different kind of confidence. Like, he says, I'm going to go away for a year and come back one of the best Atlas stone lifters in the world, and he did. So
It's the French.
is that what it is?
No, it's got to be.
I think it's just Max. I don't know. I think it's just him.
I mean, I'm going to talk about this Monday night when they're on the show, but all I got to say is this. I said he would win that timber carry. I said it. You can go back and look at my prediction video, and I said it.
Max, that is Max's event. There was definitely most of us at the gym were sitting there going, that's his event.
The funny thing is, like, after he did that, the commentators have to say, like, oh, that seemed like a fast run. It might hold up. And I'm like, I was watching on my phone. I was driving somewhere to pick up dinner. So I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, no one's going to beat that time. Stop being nice. No one's going to beat that time.
Yeah, it was like 8 seconds and something. Like,
yeah.
Well, and a lot of the guys didn't even finish it. Like, a lot of the guys barely got it halfway up the ramp, and so I'm like, Max is almost untouchable in that event, I think.
Ethan says the way Max was moving made him scared for Mateus's record. I'll say this. I said this on one of my reaction videos. So, and I think Max mentioned this, like, he didn't quite know exactly when to begin. So if you watch him, his reaction time is like about a second. It's not immediate. So if when Lises went up, for example, Lises gave the judge a nod. The judge blew the whistle and he went right away. So if Max had a setup like that, he would have been challenging this record. He would have been that close.
Yeah, I definitely think Max could be able to take the record with the proper setup and everything. I think it could be his.
So Tom, what were your thoughts about the stone over bar for you?
Well, funny enough, this was a roughly 100-pound PR for me.
Wow! Congrats!
I appreciate it. I'm hoping it's just because of lack of access to stones and not necessarily I couldn't do it. So when this event released, I only have a 335 stone right now. I have just ordered 3 stone molds and they're on their way right now. But so I was like, I've hit that. That's what I would use when I practice stone to shoulder, the whole bit. So I was like, okay, and a little nervous for those 400-pound stones just because I haven't. My first competition, there was a max stone, and the last one was 400, and I didn't successfully hit that one. And that was the last time I've even seen a 400-pound stone. But I did a lot of, for America's Strongest, I did a lot of 400-pound sandbag training, so I was hoping there was a lot of carryover there. It ended up being so because I felt every stone I hit, I was like, okay, that's sweet. So especially when it started jumping from – it went 400, 425 to 475. So that's when everybody was like, oh, okay, that's a big jump. Here we go. So I was really happy with this event. I felt I was really close on the 490. I got it to my lap. I was going last in this event. So once Jack and Cop missed it, I knew I had it. So like I was amped and I was trying to get it, but at the end of the day, I was like, I knew it was over at that point. So I was still trying to get it for show, but it kind of it takes the fight or flight out of it,
What was the diameter on the final stone?
That is a good question. I have no idea.
I mean, like over 450, you have to go to like a 26, 28-inch stone. Like
I know. Like with my arms locked out, and I have no idea what my wingspan is. Like it was bear hug, like straight to the chest from the floor. So Yeah, it had to be something ridiculous.
And how high was the bar for you?
Also, a
52?
great question. I don't know. I don't know if they moved it. I feel like it was 48 the whole way
Really?
because Jack Planners was just freaking dropping it over. Like he didn't have to extend it all. He could just pick it up and like that. It's okay. Thanks, buddy.
I'm gonna have to lobby on Holly's behalf. That's hardly fair.
I agree. But I really don't. I don't think they moved it. Unless they
I
got
don't,
it, nobody's
I don't
looking.
think they moved it at all either.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it seems like they should have bumped it up to like at least 52, 54, something like that. Just, I mean, a little bit different, but I don't know. I wasn't there.
So, Tom, I don't know if you know Josh Hillen, but he loves your approach.
Yeah, just whatever it is, I got to pick it up and put it over. Well, I mean, that's the beauty of Strongman, right? You see a nice rock in the woods, you're like, I'm going to pick that up. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah, I did that.
Sure, that's how the Denny Stone started. I mean, they were picking it up, I'm sure, before they weighed it.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to weigh stuff in the woods. I'll tell you, I've tried.
Yeah, bring a scale.
The dirt's not solid, so you get weird weights. Like I was getting weird weight. I picked up a stone and I put it on. I brought a portable scale, and it was like 52 pounds. I'm like, there's no way this thing's only 52 pounds. So I weighed myself, and I was like 128. Like, yeah, okay, it's way off.
Remind me to weigh myself on dirt then.
Yeah, man. You want to weigh less? You go out in the woods. Yeah, I ended up finding it looked like an old piece of sewer pipe, like a concrete block kind of thing. So I ended up weighing them on there, which means, you have to lift it. So you get to work out lifting it and then you weigh it. So I'm like, cool. That's how I found out I got I guess you would call it a stone over bar, except it was over a concrete thing. But I got a stone up over my body weight. So I kind of enjoyed that.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Travis Ortmeyer told me it was good, so it's got to be good.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think kind of as we wind down, what's exciting on the horizon? Holly, would you like to go first? Any comps planned or anything that's not a show plan that's exciting for you in your future?
Actually, I'm competing almost every 2 months this year. So I've got Clash, the under 64K show in Texas in May. So that's the next one I'm prepping for. I'm pretty excited for that one. And then 2 months after that, I'm back in Ohio for Static Monsters. And then I've got OSG again. I've got Canada's Strongest Woman qualifiers. And then my win at the Arnold has now qualified me for the Pro Strong Woman show.
Fantastic. So you're both officially pros now?
I was a pro actually 2 years ago.
Oh, you were? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How did you earn your pro card?
By winning nationals, which also gave me my Arnold invite it was my last amateur show, but again, because it was canceled, I got to go again this year because there wasn't a lot of shows for the last year.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, I know a lot of countries in the world don't have this concept of pro cards, but it's cool that Canada has a path.
Yeah, so the first and third at the Arnold were Canadians, and we have our pro card. So they ended up actually giving the pro card to Chloe.
Oh, okay. I see. Interesting. That's cool. And Tom, how about you? You were definitely amateur up until now, right?
I got my pro card at nationals at the end of 2021.
Oh, you did? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So this was my first and last Arnold amateur.
Because nationals was after ASM.
Yes, it was like 2 weeks right after that.
Gotcha. I remember you as an amateur from ASM. I forgot there was a show right after. Okay, cool.
Yep. And that's where I got it. And then I think Cop got it. His planners already had his, so it goes down to the next guy. So me and him both got ours from national this past year.
Nice. And Strongman Corp's doing some restructuring with Rob Kearney and Hardesty at the helm. So maybe some interesting shows coming up for you too. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot more opportunities for pro-ams and they're restructuring how they're doing regionals. I think is good. More opportunities for younger guys to compete at a higher level, which is great. I think you should be excited. I like the way they're moving forward with the corporation for sure.
Yeah, I think the regional concept is cool. It gives more of a kind of a clear path. I think they're thinking of having fewer people at nationals, though. What are your thoughts on that?
Probably be good for warm up. Definitely good for warm up. Yeah, because I mean the Arnold was like the biggest comp besides America's America's Strongest Man with 20 people. That was like, what do we do with all this time? We don't have to fight over a barbell. Yeah, I think that'd be helpful with the structure of it, and then maybe give an opportunity to kind of promote it a little bit more. Maybe have some vendors there, make it more of how it feels at America's Strongest or at the Arnold. I think it's a great idea. Sure.
Cool. And then this is maybe a little bit of a controversial question. You can defer if you like, but Holly, how do you feel like there's been talk on the internet about women getting equal treatment at the Arnolds? Like, how did you feel like the facilities were and just basically having everything you needed to perform well?
Well, I was an amateur, like I was competing as an amateur, right? So I really can't speak to how the pro women were, I guess, treated compared to the pro men. Keeping your eyes open, obviously you can see the difference of, I guess, unless the pro women were able to warm up where the pro men were, there were very big differences there and stuff. But as an amateur, I mean, I warmed up with the amateur men. We had the same time. We went at the same time. I think that way it was completely fair, but I can't really speak on how the pro women compared to the pro men were because I'm not one and I wasn't competing as that. But I think it would be nice if the pro men kind of were the exact same as the amateur men and we went at the same time. We were completely equal in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Well, thanks for sharing your experiences. Cool. So, Tom, what do you have coming up in the near future that you'd like to share that you're excited about?
Working on qualifying for the Shaw Classic Open here soon. I think those videos we're doing at the end of April. So hopefully that deadlift went up. That's what we're hoping for right now from all that Axel training. And I feel pretty good about a log 3 rep max. And then after that, I'll hopefully compete in OSG this year. It's actually my first time competing in that. And then from there, getting ready for the Arnold next year.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool that Brian Shaw's doing that open category this year. That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I love for the opportunity to get into it. So hopefully everything works out.
Yeah. What do you think about kind of the evolution of his show now coming into the 3rd year? It seems like he's adding pieces every year. Kind of what do you are you excited about like what he's added so far and kind of how that's evolved?
Oh, it seems great, and it seems that it's going to keep growing. I mean, I can see that turning into, a show as maybe without the festival part, but like as big as the Arnold. From what I've seen on TV, they get a big crowd out there, and it's just looks very welcoming and very inspiring for especially young, newly professional. Because I remember last year there was like a couple guys on the younger side that got into like the Axel Shaw Classic. I can't remember the guy's name at the moment, but I remember there was like he was 24, and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm a little bit behind right now, but that's okay. So yeah, that has so much room to progress, and I feel like Brian's done so much for the sport, and it seems like he hopes to continue to do so. So I'm hopeful for the opportunity to meet him. Another fun fact for me was the Arnold was also the first time I've seen a pro show in person. So a lot of firsts for me there.
Yeah. You okay breathing at high elevations?
I've played a football game at Mile High, so I'm hoping that that didn't feel too different. I didn't play a lot, but I'm hoping that we'll can have some carryover there, maybe some training effect.
By the way, Ethan Zidell coming through in the clutch. It was Gabriel Rayom you're referring to.
Thank you. My memory's terrible. I apologize.
Me too. Thanks, Ethan. Awesome. So as we come to a conclusion here, I think you want to let everybody know, Holly, you can go first, how they can follow you, keep in touch, if they want to reach out, or if you have any sponsors you want to shout out.
You can follow me on Instagram McRae Strong Fitness. Don't go by the name on this YouTube though, because he spelled my last name wrong.
Oh, I did? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
And yeah, I'm sponsored by Mutant. They keep me fueled. Kratos, obviously part of my team, and Earn Your Booze. Those are definitely the people that keep me going. And Max and Sam are my coaches, so they definitely deserve a big shout out for what I did at the Arnold. And thank you so much for having me here today. It was really, really awesome.
Absolutely. I will thank you by correcting the spelling, I promise.
It's okay. I don't mind. I just thought I would throw it out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll get that corrected. We'll get both of your IGs in the description below. Tom, how can people follow you? And do you have any sponsors or coaches you'd like to shout out?
I'm on Instagram as Tom Evans Strongman. Currently working on getting a little bit better at the social media game. Not my strong suit, but working on that a good bit. Don't have any official sponsors at the moment. Hoping to work some stuff out here soon, but I'm very interested to hear from anybody. Coach myself up until Arnold, and now I'm actually working with Dirks and their team. So really excited about that. Really excited to be a part of their team, and hopefully they can, or I know they will help me continue to progress throughout the sport.
Awesome. I was going to say, if you need coaches, we know a bunch of good ones.
Absolutely.
Travis Ortmeyer's a good coach.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, it was been great having you, Isaac. Anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, thanks for coming on, guys. It was great being able to chat with you and, finally be able to actually talk to you face to face instead of just messaging over IG and all that sort of stuff. So, thank you both for coming on the show, and we're definitely going to be watching you for the next little bit and paying attention to your next couple competitions and all that sort of stuff. So
awesome. Thank you,
Well,
Holly.
thanks for
Thank you,
having us
Tom. It
on.
was a great time, and hopefully we catch up again soon.
Thank you.
All righty. Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys.
You
You too. Thanks.
Bye.